Hi, everybody. I think we're good to go. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Metrics, where, everywhere. Which are ones I should be scared? It's just a kind of funny title, serious topic. First, abstract, we're going to skip over that. Acknowledgements, no affiliation, no advisory. This is just the legalese that I need to put in here because I work for one of the major corporations. So my co-speaker could not join us today. Unfortunately, she had an emergency and she could not join, but I'll be able to talk through the presentation. I'm a technology executive at IBM. I've been building Appsec programs. I love Appsec. It's one of my passions, but in my day job, I do big modernization projects with Fortune 500. I love anything cloud native, anything to do with securing it, developer enablement. I'm a cybersecurity practitioner, so not just executive. I don't just sell. I also put my hands on the keyboard. Maria and I are writing a book on cloud native security, and that's coming up in a few months. Hopefully by the time in for RSA, where we could have a book signing, but maybe not. We'll see. We're working hard on it. Today, agenda, why Appsec metrics matter. We're going to talk about what to collect, what not to collect, how to measure and improve app security, some real-life examples, a bit about tooling, common challenges, best practices, how do we drive Appsec maturity, and final thoughts. Why Appsec matters. So you can't improve something you can't measure. You really want to understand where your security program is at, benchmark it, understand it, manage your risk exposure. And that goes in with compliance with industry regulations. You want to reduce number of security incidents? I hope so, right? You want to measure effectiveness of your Appsec program. Then metrics is really good when it comes to communication. Anything you do, executives in your company need to see pretty pictures, right? How do you make those? With metrics, there's not much to talk about that because that's quite obvious. But you constantly need to keep investing in your program, and those people hold. They have budgets, and the better you can make the case for yourself and your program, the more resources are you going to have to invest in, and conversely, your enterprise is going to be safer. Let's hope. And it also, if you're a vendor, having some numbers to show, it really helps when it comes to third-party due diligence with your clients. And on top of that, you also internally help build cybersecurity culture, so you understand that everybody plays their own part in making the enterprise safer. What metrics to collect? You have ton of different metrics, technical, process, business, but you have to put your thinking hat on and understand which of these metrics are important to your company, and then you have to design a mechanism to collect metrics on a regular basis, and hopefully this is the most important piece. The metrics need to be actionable. They need to prompt you into action. Otherwise, what good is it? It's probably just getting a check mark on your audit, but if it's not actionable, then most people want to understand how you actually come from a number to action, right? So what metrics to avoid collecting? You have, for example, compliance metrics is good, but it's not actionable. There is certain types of metrics like number of security alerts that it does not have enough quality to be actionable, and this is the kind of like the filter I look at all of the different metrics is actionability, right? So number of security incidents, it doesn't really tell you on the severity. So all of these are really called vanity metrics because they don't produce or don't prompt you into action. They might be misleading, misinterpreted, and don't provide valuable insights. They don't lead you somewhere where you can actually take action to make things better. So I put together a little bit of a framework here. What we want to do is we want to collect it, prioritize it, remediate, track over time, and finally communicate. So Appsec program is rich with data. You have constantly, you can collect all kinds of things, right? Like from software supply chain, code vulnerabilities, third-party libraries, container, and container like image vulnerabilities, API security. So all of these things produce metrics, but you need to be able to go through the stages here to make him actionable and make him relevant to what you're trying to achieve. So how do you get started with the basic stuff? You start collecting some metrics like that are generated by security scanning. Then you move into more granular things like mean time to resolve, mean time to acknowledge. For example, you want to know how long does it take to resolve an incident or to resolve a vulnerability. And then when that vulnerability is assigned to somebody, how long does it take to, for that person to acknowledge that finding? Because each of these things can kind of help you understand your entire process, and then within the process itself, where do you have bottlenecks? So if it takes several days for vulnerability to be acknowledged or for incident to be acknowledged, and a lot of these things are cross-functional. You can talk about metrics when it comes to incident response, or you can talk about within the context of vulnerabilities, and pretty much the same rules apply. If it's all about process improvement, it's all about getting the right vulnerabilities to the right people, and the problem is that lot of issues we have with attribution. It's like, who should get this vulnerability, or who should work on this? That takes time to assign. So just collecting these metrics can kind of give you the idea on how to make things better. Even on the right side here, where we have non-obvious metrics, let's say I wanted to implement threat modeling in the organization. So you want to see number of threat models. Do we have how many applications have started to implement the threat modeling. You can track that over time, and you can see how your Appsec program develops in that particular direction, right? The code reviews, the non-false positives, it's all about really eliminating false positives and false negatives. Getting the things right is where you do the detective work to understand how the metrics is going to lead you to basically fixing the right things at the right time, and improving overall security posture of your enterprise. One other thing, security development training is probably very important. I know in my experience, developers know how to do the functional things. They care about shipping the code as fast as they can, because they have they're held to business metrics, and they don't necessarily care about security, but you can make a case on, if you track the right things, how fast are you educating developers on security, and we can talk about this a little bit later. It helps you build a business case to invest into your program. So when it comes to metrics prioritization or remediation, we have several goals. One thing is to prioritize vulnerabilities. We also want to measure effectiveness of security program, and we want to track things over time. Like prioritization works on, you want to identify vulnerabilities that are likely to be exploited. So all of these tools produce thousands, millions of possible vulnerabilities, and you only have so many resources, so many people that you can so you have to really go after the most important things, things that are exposed outside, things that are high or critical. So that's where the prioritization comes in. Then you align metrics with business goals, and obviously the issue is here that you have many competing priorities, compliance, protecting the business, your budget constraints, the people constraints. So using the risk-based approach is the most important thing. Then we get into, this is a definition slide. Basically, you want to establish SLOs, which is service level objectives. They're different from SLAs. SLAs are a legal term, and I would stay away from them if possible. Obviously, the externally facing websites have SLAs, but SLOs, you can negotiate those internally and keep improving over time. Now I'll give you an example here for, you can have a severity-based SLOs example, critical 72 hours, high 30 days, medium 90 days, low 120 days. I'm not sure what you guys have but this is typical. And then on the other side, we have code-based things. Again, you have to remediate stuff in a specific period of time. Otherwise, your developers are going to focus on developer things. They want to ship the code. They're going to go after the next sprint. But these metrics kind of help you hold them accountable. Risk considerations, again, we have to focus on the important things. What is the probability of the exploit? What is the locality? Which means whether something is internally facing, externally facing, is it behind a WAF, or and then finally what the severity of the finding is. So to kind of summarize, you select the proper metrics, you collect, you summarize it, you analyze it. You need to spend a fair deal to understand what works for your team, who the players are within the organization, how do you conduct remediation, and it's very important to visualize things. You can build the dashboards per application, for example, and you can see exactly which applications are doing good, which are not doing so good. It's important to have many different ways of communication. Dashboards are more kind of broadcasting versus communicating directly with the stakeholders, and it just devise ways to share and popularize, because then you have many different parties invested in your program, and it's a virtuous cycle. Some real-world examples, and if anybody has any examples that they want to share, probably this is the time to speak up. But I'll just go quickly through it because I think our time. So poor metrics. There was an example of large financial company. They had 20,000 SCA findings. They just turned it on and only had 5 developers. So it was clear that they could not remediate everything. The first thing they needed to do is basically contain the problem, right? So they put in a mitigating control, put all the applications behind WAF. Then they segmented the application that have severe findings, and then prioritize remediation based on severity, locality, and exploitability. The outcome from 20,000, I think it went down to like 300, and was remediated within 3 months or so. So second one, let's go to the good metrics. So one of the, see, they were tracking many different things, and in the meantime, to discover it was too long. They were using the MITRE framework, where they only had 5 out of 10 most meaningful TTPs are detected. They were noticing that there was an effectiveness gap. They were not improving as fast as they can, so they did several tests on their applications. They enhanced the identity controls. They added segmentation, and then added 3 different PowerShell scripts to, and that really solved that problem. They were starting to detect all of them, and this is kind of going backwards, where you can use MITRE framework with your threat modeling and start. It can help you kind of help you figure out what to track and how do you actually improve your security posture. Tooling, all of these things like SAST, DAST, container scanning, SIM, and you want to basically consider getting everything in one place, normalizing it in a way that it's being visualized. So measure, prioritize, and remediate across all the aspects of security. Easier said than done, but it gives you a full picture where you can identify threat actors in multiple layers of your security, including application security, the the infrastructure as well as network security. So one of the example is Armor Code. I'm not here to endorse anybody, but it's an example of unified visibility. They can prioritize vulnerabilities and then help you remediate at scale, right? Common challenges, lack of standardization. So you have a ton of data producing things. They are not normalized. You can't really put them in one place. And a lot of times you don't even know where they are and what teams are working on it. Depending on how your enterprise is, it could be extremely siloed, and you can have a ton of shadow IT. You really need to standardize on the metrics. What do you actually expect from your tools? And then focus on quality over quantity. You can be bogged down by a sheer quantity of things. If you don't prioritize things, you can be focused on the wrong things, and that it's all about the opportunity cost. But everything has to be done it has to be timely, and that helps you with compliance. Old systems have a high complexity. You need to, and then you have other constraints about like a lack of qualified resources. You have inadequate communication channels across, backwards, downwards. Communication is really the key. You kind of have to put in thoughts to devise a good strategy to communicate not just with your stakeholders but also developers. Then it's difficult to measure the effectiveness, and this presentation is sort of attempt to kind of get you to start thinking about what are we not doing right in your program, and how do we fix things, and what are we not tracking that could help us get things more effective. It's thinking about those questions that prompt you into action. Best practices, define a clear goals, objectives with stakeholders, select the right metrics, measure your progress, establish a process for collecting, storing, and analyzing data, report it, and drive. So all of these things are in service of proper decision making, as anything else, right? So we also want to drive the maturity. So I think in the couple of slides coming here, we have this is what I was looking for. Purple Book Community is a security. It's a security community where they want to help drive the knowledge of Appsec security, and they have devised this maturity model for and across 5 different dimensions. Initially, the metrics can really help you to understand where are you at in the maturity level. So we have reactive, proactive, managed, optimized, and dynamic. It's all about people, process, and technology. I'm not going to spend too much time. Hopefully you get the slides, but like when you want to get started with your metrics, what do you actually do? What do you do now? What do you do next? And what do you do across 6 months? Initial thing, what you want to do is understand where you're at, review policies, define maturity, identify relevant metrics and establish a baseline, identify key stakeholders, conduct knowledge gathering sessions, and define a roadmap. And then you just execute on the roadmap, right? So to reiterate in a nutshell, we have assessment, we have to apply and remediate throughout the entire systems life cycle, strive to raise and sustain the maturity, and of course innovate with your metrics. This is one of my favorite things. Innovate, be creative, understand what really helps, what doesn't, and eliminate things that don't matter. You really need to focus on things that do matter because of all kinds of constraints, and you need to communicate and hopefully get the right resources you need to improve your security and app security program. This is all I have. Hopefully this was informative. Thank you very much.